The first time I knocked on my neighbor's apartment door, I thought I was helping someone smile for a camera. I had no idea that a single photograph would expose two lonely lives hiding behind polite greetings and apartment walls, or that the woman who asked me to help her find love online would quietly decide that the person she had been searching for had been living next door all along. If stories about kindness, hope, forgiveness, compassion, and second chances mean something to you, please take a moment to like this video, leave a thoughtful comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue bringing heartfelt stories that remind us the world is still full of good people. I had lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Asheville, North Carolina, for nearly 4 years. My name is Nathan, and after losing both my father and a long relationship within the same year, I had slowly convinced myself that a peaceful, ordinary life was enough. I repaired antique furniture during the day, spent evenings reading on my porch, and exchanged little more than friendly waves with the people around me. Solitude became comfortable because it asked nothing from me. It never disappointed me, but it never truly comforted me either. Across the hallway lived Grace. She had moved into the building almost 8 months earlier with dozens of flower pots that transformed her tiny balcony into a colorful garden. Every Saturday morning she volunteered at the local animal shelter before returning home carrying groceries for an elderly couple who lived nearby. She always seemed cheerful, but sometimes I noticed the light in her apartment stayed on until 2 or 3 in the morning. The brightest smiles often belonged to people carrying invisible burdens. One rainy afternoon she surprised me by knocking on my door with an embarrassed smile and a camera in her hands. She explained that her sister insisted she create a dating profile because she had spent too many years focusing on work instead of herself. She admitted she hated having her picture taken but trusted me because she had seen me photographing birds and sunsets around the neighborhood. She simply wanted someone who would make her feel comfortable instead of self-conscious. The following Sunday we drove to a nearby lakeside park. Instead of rushing through dozens of staged poses, we spent hours wandering wooded trails, watching families throw bread to ducks, and laughing whenever the wind refused to cooperate with her hair. Without realizing it, I stopped taking photographs every few minutes because the conversations became more interesting than the camera itself. She shared stories about caring for her late mother through a long illness, about putting her own dreams aside, and about wondering if she had waited too long to build a family of her own. I found myself telling her things I had never admitted to anyone, including how grief had quietly convinced me that opening my heart again would only invite another painful goodbye. By sunset the memory card contained hundreds of photographs, but none of them captured what mattered most. They showed a smiling woman standing beside a lake, yet they couldn't reveal how she had slowly reminded a weary man that loneliness wasn't strength. It was simply fear wearing a respectable disguise. A few evenings later Grace knocked again. She carried homemade blueberry muffins and asked if I could help her choose which pictures to upload. We spread the photographs across my dining table. She studied them carefully before smiling in a way I had never seen before. There was peace in it instead of uncertainty. After several quiet moments she closed the laptop without uploading a single picture. She looked toward the window where the neighborhood lights glowed softly against the evening sky, then turned back toward me with gentle confidence. She told me there was something strange about that afternoon by the lake. For the first time in years she had completely forgotten that the purpose of the day was finding someone else. Somewhere between the long walks, shared memories, and comfortable silences, she had realized she no longer wanted strangers to notice her profile. She wanted the man behind the camera to notice her heart. With a nervous laugh that somehow carried more courage than any speech, she said, "Forget the app. Take me out." For a moment I couldn't answer. Not because I didn't know what I felt, but because I had spent so long believing happiness belonged to other people that I almost failed to recognize it when it stood in front of me. Then I smiled, and for the first time in years, the future felt larger than my fears. Our first official date was wonderfully ordinary. We ate sandwiches from a family-owned cafe, visited a bookstore where we accidentally bought the same novel for each other, and ended the evening watching the sunset from the same lakeside bench where those photographs had been taken. There were no grand gestures, expensive gifts, or dramatic declarations. There was simply honesty, patience, and two people choosing hope over hesitation. The months that followed weren't perfect. We both carried old wounds that occasionally resurfaced. Some days grief returned without warning. Other days insecurity whispered that we were taking too big a risk. But instead of hiding those struggles, we faced them together. We learned that real love isn't about rescuing someone from pain. It's about reminding them they never have to carry it alone again. A year later, our apartment building gathered for a small celebration in the courtyard after we announced our engagement. The elderly couple Grace had always helped brought homemade pie. Children decorated the sidewalks with colorful chalk hearts. Even the shelter dog she had once fostered found a permanent home with us. Looking around, I realized that one simple act of kindness, helping a neighbor take a few pictures, had quietly transformed an entire season of my life. Before this story comes to its close, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment and tell us about a moment when an unexpected act of kindness changed your life, because your story might become the encouragement someone else desperately needs today. As Grace and I looked through those old photographs again on our first anniversary, we laughed because none of them had ever appeared on a dating app. Instead, they became the first pages of our family album, reminding us that sometimes life answers our deepest prayers in ways we never planned. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or reminded you that hope often lives closer than we think, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, subscribe for more uplifting stories, and let this message stay with you. The greatest journeys sometimes begin with the smallest act of kindness, and the person meant to change your life might already be standing just next door.